California seems determined in every possible way to stop Paramount Skydance from buying CNN. Leaked details from the now nixed settlement discussions reveal corrupt Attorney General Bonta is playing a highly partisan game of chicken that could collapse all of Hollywood. But now, President Trump may have just outplayed everyone with a move that could make CNN worth almost nothing anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pro Channel. The news today. Wowza, it is going, it is moving, it is crazy. And we'll be covering all of this over on the Pro Show tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern after this video. Please watch to the end. This is amazing stuff. Let's talk about it. Smash that like button. And remember, the Pro Channel is where you go for the optimistic side of entertainment. We believe that the blue skies are on the way. Joe Flint, Jessica Tunkel are writing this for the Wall Street Journal. California expected to seek TV channel sales from Paramount Warner. This came out on the 23rd, so yesterday, late in the evening, and if you've been paying attention, you know that Rob Bonta, the California Attorney General, has now nixed further settlement talks with Paramount Skydance. They're trying to stop them from leaving California, taking Warner Brothers with them, but they're also very concerned about stopping Paramount from getting CNN, because California is a totally partisan state, and so these actions, while presented as if they are, with the facade that they are, about the marketplace and about antitrust laws, it's all politics. This is every bit California trying to stop Paramount Skydance, which is perceived as centrist, which is on the right in California, but centrist, preventing them from getting power over CNN and the other stuff. Okay, so this was the story from the Wall Street Journal. All right, TV channel sales. Which TV channel sales would you expect? CNN. So California is basically saying you are not allowed to own CNN. You can't own it. That's the settlement. Also, I'm sure there are rules, stipulations to try to keep Paramount there. Let me turn the page just a little bit from Ovation Eddie 2 on YouTube. President Trump is giving an interview about who he might want as his press secretary. We'll fast forward this a little bit. President Trump is giving an interview about who he might want as a replacement press secretary after Caroline Leavitt leaves, okay? Caroline Leavitt's going to leave, and somebody's got to take the place of her, as press secretary. This from CNN. Let me play this, and then I'll tell you how Trump has outmaneuvered California completely, and CNN may be worth absolutely nothing when this is all said and done. So Paramount, oh God, this is so amazing. I'll explain it. Let me play it right now.
Scott Jennings, sir. Scott Jennings is good.
Hey. I think President Trump is good, so we agree on something. It's mutual. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have anything to say about it this morning, but...
Well, there it is. Even President Trump is now agreeing that Scott Jennings could be his next press secretary. So
I got to play it again. I love the CNN. Dana Bash, who cannot stand Trump, just watch her reaction, and then Scott Jennings' statement.
Scott Jennings is good.
Hey, I think President Trump is good, so...
The ratings without Scott Jennings will not be good. The way that you can know this is because Salon, which is definitely not a fan of the Orange Man, definitely not a fan of Scott Jennings, Salon is essentially admitting this, that CNN needs Scott Jennings. It won't survive without him. So let me lay out the case for you for what's happening here. I see what's happening here. Do you see it yet, folks? PhD level of understanding into how this is playing out, entertainment and politics mixing together, but we can handle that, right? Okay, join me. Here's what's happening. So you've got Scott Jennings, who is the cornerstone, and I'll show you the stats in just a minute. Scott Jennings, who is the cornerstone for CNN's ratings. Without him, CNN is in very shaky ground. CNN is also doing a pretty darn good job of catching up to Fox News. Although Fox News is still outperforming them, CNN has closed the gap, largely due to Scott Jennings. But California does not want, right? The politicians in California, specifically this Attorney General, does not want Paramount Skydance and Barry Weiss. They already own 60 Minutes. They already own CBS News. California's determined that they will not get CNN because they're afraid we'll get more Scott Jennings, because CNN is realizing that if you have robust debate, if you have people of varying views on the channel, that drives up the ratings. If it's not a monolithic thing like we see to some degree with Fox News, but definitively with MS Now. So California wants to prevent that. What is California doing to prevent it? As well as trying to stop Paramount, Skydance from taking Warner Brothers, CNN, etc., and leaving the state. Settlement talks, totally political, not a single thing to do with antitrust laws. Everything's already been cleared by the federal antitrust regulators and the world, the EU, the UK. Everybody knows this is A-OK. California is just doing this for political reasons to gum up the works and cause pain to the Ellisons. Okay. But here's the deal. If President Trump signs Scott Jennings to be the press secretary, CNN loses Scott Jennings, contract is ripped up, no more. And then when Scott Jennings is done being the press secretary, which one would presume would happen just before the presidential elections coming up, not this November, not next November, November after, which is when the value of owning something like CNN actually matters, that President Trump would let Scott Jennings go. And where would Scott Jennings then go? CBS News, 60 Minutes, which is the entire reason California really doesn't want CNN sold, because then Scott Jennings would be owned by CBS News, 60 Minutes, CNN, which would all kind of merge. Salon knows this. They're talking about it. Sophia Tesfaye has this, says, Scott Jennings as press secretary could be Trump's final coup. How CNN transformed the conservative pundit into MAGA's loudest mouthpiece. As I said, they don't like him, okay? But we need to read this to understand what's happening. Scott Jennings' appointment as White House press secretary would not be a surprising turn in Donald Trump's second administration. If the reports and rumors turn out to be right, the choice would say as much about our modern political media as it would about the CNN pundit himself. He is a particular kind of American grift that only cable news could have produced. The professional Trump apologist who spends years building a brand on reasonable conservative who push back a little, cashes it in on a White House podium, and never once has to explain how those two roles were supposed to coexist. It says Jennings has been auditioning for that grift since the day he first told a CNN panel in 2017 that Trump deserved a fair hearing. This is our modern woke left, not classical liberals. This is the modern woke, where they think that it's offensive. It's a grift for you to say that everybody deserves a fair hearing. You can listen, folks. You can all pretend they're not saying this. They're saying this. And if the wokesters, again, I'm not political. I love classical liberals. I love classic conservatives. I love centrists. We argue every day for entertainment to be back in the mainstream middle, the sensible center where money is made. But you need to listen to what the wokesters are saying. And you need to pay attention when AOC says woke 2.0 is on the way. They're saying that Scott Jennings is a bad dude. He's a mean hombre because he dares believe that fair trials should be for everyone. I thought that was the basis of Western culture. But they hate Western culture. Pay attention to what they say. Believe what they say. They're telling you. They're dangerous. It says now with Carolyn Leavitt's departure at the end of August, he may finally get taxpayers to fund his propaganda by way of a federal salary. And it goes on to be very against this. Now, why, and by the way, it talks about Susie Wiles meeting privately with Jennings. Why would Salon be so against this? Because remember, Salon, if he doesn't become the press secretary, Salon knows he stays at CNN and continues to dump on CNN pundits and win ratings and prove that having a more, what should we say? Having a diversity of opinions. See, we're pro-diversity. Always are. Having a diversity of opinions on cable news is a good thing. Salon doesn't agree with that. Salon is selecting the lesser of two evils in their mind. The greater evil is he becomes the press secretary, tanks the ratings for CNN. You've got then the Ellisons with Skydance Paramount able to say, yeah, bounce out CNN. We don't care. Scott Jennings already went and headed to the Trump administration, and now we can pick him up as soon as he's done and throw him on 60 Minutes. Holy moly, what a coup! What a coup, we say. Free Beacon is writing it this way. CNN's token Republican Scott Jennings is more popular than CNN. Analysis finds. I need to clarify this for everybody because you may not know, you may not believe this. And certainly the very few, the seldom seen boo birds around here. We don't have any of those, do we? No, we don't. The boo birds are going to say, "Oh, come on, pro. Scott Jennings is not this popular. He's not the one driving the ratings of CNN. Abby Phillips, she's our girl. If she can't do it, nobody." Hang on. Let me show you, okay? Says he's more insightful and better looking and gets more views than anyone else on the declining liberal network. Let me show you. Okay. Now, this article is from 2 years ago, and I fully admit that. The dynamics have not changed. In fact, it's only grown stronger. CNN, it says, by Andrew Stiles, has a problem. And the only obvious solution is more Scott Jennings. The liberal network's token Republican contributor distinguished himself throughout the 2024 election by repeatedly winning 5-on-1 debates against Democrats and journalists who are also Democrats. Yes, that's a little bit redundant to say the two things. But I want to go down to this paragraph. This is so important, and then I'm going to show you the stats you need to know for today. Last week, Jennings posted a 2-minute clip of his November 19th appearance on Newsnight with Abby Phillips. In the video, Jennings calmly and accurately explained how the Democratic Party has alienated male voters with sneering condescension about the patriarchy and cheap gimmicks like selling camouflage hats on the Harris-Walz campaign website. Here's the stats you need, okay? Set the politics aside for a minute. Everybody's going to agree with this when you hear the stats. It has racked up more than 1.1 million views on X, formerly Twitter, which is significantly more than the roughly 413,000 Americans who watch Newsnight on CNN. That number has collapsed, by the way. Now, I would dare argue that 1.1 million views on X probably is doubled by the views on YouTube. And you all know that. You all know that. So what's going on here? Scott Jennings is a social media trailblazer for CNN. It says, in reality, it's rather generous to assume that all those viewers were watching CNN at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday, considering that just 92,000 of them were between the ages of 25 and 54, which is to say that the rest is like, assisted living viewership? Scott Jennings, and they've known this, Scott Jennings is driving massive viewership outside of just the singular pipeline of ratings from CNN. But here's where we are today. And here's why this matters. TV Insider. Martin Holmes, CNN gets ratings boost in battle with MS Now and Fox News. Join me, folks. Let's get what's happening right now. It says, according to Adweek, citing Nielsen Big Data Plus panel for the week of August 10th, which they're pumping up the ratings with this new thing they do at Nielsen. I don't care. CNN averaged 624,000 total viewers and 115,000 viewers in the coveted adults 25 to 54 demographic. Okay, this number is probably lower if we don't. They've changed the way they calculate it since 2024. Whatever. It says this was down 6% in total viewers, but up 1% in the demo compared to the week before. Okay. Down 6% in total viewers, but up 1% in the demo compared to the week before. How many viewers? 115,000 in the demo. 115,000. The reason that's important is because you all who watch this channel, I know you go and you watch Nerdrotic all the time. I know the channels you love. You love Critical Drinker. You love Valiant Renegade. You love Culture Casino. You love Geeks and Gamers. And you love Nerdrotic. And I don't blame you. Nerdrotic has a show on that channel called Friday Night Tights. It happens every Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Our good friend Fake Wizard is on that show. And some of our other friends are there as well. And on that show, they average 200,000 viewers plus every single week. And I will guarantee you, as the Cajun man once said, I think that was Justin Wilson. Boy, way to remember that, pro. I guarantee you that most of those viewers are in the demo. And so CNN right now that California is battling over. California is putting their line in the sand. California is trying in every way possible to stop a cable channel that has less viewership than Nerdrotic. Less viewership than Nerdrotic. And we love Nerdrotic. But that's where we are right now. 115,000 viewers on average for CNN in prime time. In the demo. Okay. Now that's down 6%, up 1% in the demo. Whatever. Here's what you need to see. If we go down, it says, however, CNN was up significantly in the same time period in 2025. In prime time, the network rose compared to last year, 34% in total viewers and 37% in the key demo. Now, why would that be? Well, one, because Nielsen, as we said before, has this big data plus panel. Okay, we're done with normal ratings now. We've had to do this other thing. We pump up the ratings. All right. But also because we're going in the midterms. Now, all of that said, Paramount, Skydance want to buy a product as part of a huge package of things they want to buy. They want to buy CNN. And they want to revivify CNN. How so? By bringing in more Scott Jennings type people to have a more diverse set of opinions around a round table at CNN. And California is willing to risk all of Hollywood because if they cause the Ellisons, Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers, CNN, if they cause them to flee the state of California and go somewhere else, and it looks exceedingly like that's going to happen. This is the stupidest, this is the dumbest of all dumb things. And yes, I meant to say stupidest. I mean that word, okay? Grammar peeps out there, just know Pro meant it. This is the stupidest, most ignorant, most self-immolating idea ever. For a cable channel that has 110,000 viewers in the demo, which is nothing. I don't mean to brag. We get better views than that daily here on the Pro Channel. CNN is the line in the sand that California is willing to risk all of Hollywood because if the studios follow Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers, CNN, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if the smaller studios say, we're out of here too because we see how you treat us, Hollywood will collapse. And bonta is leading Californians down this path. And in the end, it's not going to matter anyway. It's not going to matter. Because if President Trump takes Scott Jennings as press secretary, you're going to watch like a 30% drop in viewership of CNN and maybe way more on social media. And ultimately, that may decimate CNN and allow the Ellisons to say, sure, we don't care anymore. You can have CNN. We're getting Scott Jennings when he finishes as press secretary in 2 years. Wow. Wow. Folks, that's the video for this evening. I hope you enjoyed our trip through how California is being tripped up by a crazy attorney general who has set dominoes into place that he cannot control any longer. And he is being severely outplayed now because he's a politician who has no common sense. He is being outplayed by some of the most intelligent, well-connected, and wealthy individuals in the world. The Ellisons got where they are as the second richest family on earth through legitimate means. They got there by being not stupid and definitely not the stupidest. That belongs to those who are allowing this to happen in California. All of Hollywood being risked right now. Wowza, wowza, indeed. Folks, click that like button. Help others find out exactly what we're saying here, what this means. Share this out, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Until the next time, we got to go, but we got a pro show tonight at 9 p.m. You can't miss it because we can't miss you. Optimism, it's true. And we've got blue skies right here on the Pro Channel. Keep learning, keep growing, and as always, folks, keep having fun.